Next.
We could buy one of those things, but they got me. They're like, you need one job. Yeah, I don't ever clap for anything else. I do it at home though. And my wife goes, it's dinner time. Wait. All right, now it's dinner.
Welcome to Tony's Backstage Pass. This is a behind the scenes of the music industry where Tony strips back the curtain and shows you what really goes on. So tune in and tune up. It's gonna be a wild ride.
There is a particular kind of roots music that comes from this region of the country called the Black Belt. It stretches across central Mississippi and Alabama. The Black Belt region is home to an unbelievable number of singers, songwriters, and musicians. People around here say there must be something in the water or in the dirt that brings out all of this musical talent. Whatever it is, it's good family entertainment you just don't see much of anymore. Just go out, play how you play, don't mind the cameras. We're gonna not get in your way, hopefully. Right? One of the headliners on tonight's show is an artist I have looked forward to meeting for a long time. Carl Ray has made a big impact on the country music scene with his incredible songwriting, dynamic personality, and hypnotic singing voice. This Texas boy has opened up for B.B. King, Teddy Pendergrass, and was discovered by Johnny Nash, who called him a musical prodigy. All right, Carl. How you doing?
What's up, Tony? What's happening, man?
Carl Ray.
Tony Pasco.
I have been
Tony Pasco, baby.
I've been looking so forward to meeting you. I have heard so many great things. I've been following you for a long time. You're an amazing artist, man. I mean, really, your voice, just an amazing. And you know what? More so than just your talent, I did want to bring up one thing. Your energy is so fantastic. Your positivity and how you present yourself.
Thank you.
I think that's so important. So many artists, we get into our craft, as we should.
Yeah, man.
But we forget about how we're being perceived sometimes.
Yeah, and I often tell my children, and I used to mentor a lot of people when I worked at the Coca-Cola company, that really our lives are really not our own, right? And what we do with our lives is what matters.
Right.
So we need to inspire. We need to excite people, or comfort them, or be used to make their lives better. So sometimes with songwriting, I may start writing a song and I say, that doesn't really meet my purpose, what I feel like I'm about, so I change it a little bit,
Right.
But I'm trying to really elevate somebody's thinking and change.
Where does that come from, though? That must come from somewhere.
Yeah, so I have great faith. I believe that God, He gives us all things. As a matter of fact, the alarm clock rang this morning, but there's a lot of people who didn't get up.
True.
Unless He wakes us up, unless He gives me breath, unless He gives me mind to think, to move my hands, to strum a guitar, I can do nothing. And so I am of the mindset that we take so many things for granted, but even sitting in this chair takes effort, right? And I got to keep my back because I've been taught, right?
We've been told.
We've been told. And I don't want to get my hands up. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's really about what do you want life to be about for you and for others. And we're only here for a short period, Tony. And like a vapor, we're gone, right? And so I don't know who I've touched. I can't imagine all the people I've touched, but I know a lot of people who didn't think they've touched my life put me on this journey, Charlie Pride being one.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
But, these people are out here and we meet them, the Jack Whites and Tony Pasco's, the people who give us a platform to share our story so that someone will be inspired. So thank you for having me today.
Well, when I
and your crew.
you know, and this is fun. This is the fun stuff,
Yeah,
really.
it's fun.
I mean,
It's cool.
that's why I, you know, coming up with this concept for the show and everything, I found in my career some of the things that you know, you do so many things, you meet so many people, you play shows and this and that, but there's only a handful of things you really hold on to,
Yeah.
you know, and it's always, for me, it's always been the times I was backstage talking to somebody, or that guy was a really cool guy, or she was really
Yeah,
nice, or boy,
absolutely.
could that kid play.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't necessarily the performances, or I wrote this song and I got all these people applauding
Yeah.
me. The things you end up taking with you, or the things you remember, you know, the fond memories,
Right.
are the experiences
Absolutely.
that you didn't even realize you had sometimes, and interacting with people. And that's why I was like, man, when I was preparing for this, I was like, I can't wait to meet Carl. I know he and I are gonna hit it off. He's just a cool guy. I can tell.
Man. I love you, Tony.
You know, I'm telling you. But what I really like to know, though, when I was looking at your bio and I was going through all your stuff, listening to this, I can see clearly now, just amazing. If you haven't heard that cover,
Yeah, yeah.
you've done that song. I mean, it's a beautiful song to begin with.
Yeah, I was scared to touch it initially.
Oh, it's an
You know.
iconic song. And you did it respectfully. You added something to it.
Yeah.
I heard it and it was familiar, but it was new.
Yeah, which is what I
That's
get from a
hard.
lot of people. And when I was younger and grew up in Texas, Johnny was my mentor, if you read it. But, you know, and I took for granted so many times we'd be hunting and fishing or in the country. And he had this old guitar he would just play all the time. And he would just be singing Steer It Up, or I Can See Clearly Now. And as a kid, I would be singing harmony with him. And he was my friend. So I never saw him as this icon,
He's your buddy.
right? So I said, John, one of these days I'd like to do that song. He said, but if you do, don't do it like me. Do not do it like me. So he gave me permission. He said, find a way to own it yourself. And so he passed away a few years ago. And as a tribute to him, I went on and recorded the song,
That's nice.
made it my own. And I love that song, but it was really a tribute to Johnny, who I'm going to see again, and we'll be singing harmony again someday.
I love to hear that. Now
Yeah.
that I would pay
too.
to
I
hear
can't
that,
wait.
you too.
I can't.
But where did it all start? Let's go back.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of started in the middle, but you're from Texas
Yeah,
originally.
originally from Houston.
From Houston.
And you know, for me, music started in high school.
Okay.
You know, and we formed a young group. It was called the Supernaturals. And this group, we had these big afros, right? Supernaturals, right?
Yeah.
And so we opened up concerts for Earth, Wind and Fire, for the Spinners, all these big artists, right? And we were really, really good, Tony. And I'm not just blowing smoke. And so we went to LA and started working with some folks from Motown and recorded there. And we were trying to get a deal with Motown, but Berritt Gordy at the time said that, you know, it's too close to the Jacksons, and because we were young, you know, that kind of group.
That kind of thing.
And so we didn't make that cut, you know. And so the guys got disenchanted. They were, you know, sad. Oh,
I
we
can
had
see that,
our big break. And I was trying to keep them together, keep them motivated like I do.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine said, hey, I know Johnny Nash. Let me introduce the group to Johnny. And so Johnny looked at us, loved us, and he started working with us. But Johnny was reggae back in those days.
Yeah.
And we were R&B,
Okay.
you know. And so the guys just wasn't feeling Johnny, you know. And Johnny was trying to put a square in a circle, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And they got just disheartened and just moved on. But Johnny and I connected. And he had a guitar there. He said, hey, I see you picking up this guitar. Let me teach you a few chords. So he taught me a few chords.
Right.
Then he gave me the keys to a studio out back. He said, listen, I don't even use this thing anymore. If you want to go and record and do whatever you want to do back there,
How generous.
here's
That's
yours.
so nice.
Yeah. So as a young kid, on weekends, I actually slept. My mom had to come over and just make sure I was all right. She'd bring me pizza. But there I just started getting, you know, into music. And then John would come in and he would look at this, listen to the songs. He would tweak them, and he'd say, listen, if you keep this up, son, I'm gonna record some of these songs for you. And I said, what?
Wow.
So, and eventually he did, right?
Yeah.
But he had a farm, horses. We rode all the time, hunting, fishing. And so I started embracing this whole country lifestyle, feel, right? And my songs were story songs, he would call them.
Okay.
And he said, you know, you're really, you know, going toward that country, and I love it. But he was really focused on a good song. He gave me my passion for country music. And then, of course, my own family, growing up in East Texas, family had farms, and they, you know, they grew crops and hay. And so I just loved it. And being from Texas, I said, hey.
You got the lineage.
I said, hey, I got the lineage. And then coupled with that, my great-grandfather wore a cowboy hat. My grandfather wore a cowboy hat. So Carl Ray wears a cowboy hat.
That's fantastic.
So I'm keeping the legacy going.
I can't wear a cowboy.
You can do it, man.
I can. No, I'm telling you.
You tried it.
I'm from Chicago.
But this is you, Tony.
You
this is you. I mean, this is you.
Guys like me, we played the Indians in the Cowboy and Indians movie. They're like, you play an Indian, you know?
You play Indian.
How? You know what I mean? I'm Italian. What do I know?
Italian Indian.
That's what they
Who'd
did.
have thought, right?
That's what they did back in the day in Hollywood.
But they did.
They didn't hire Native Americans. They hired Italian
They
guys.
just did your face, right?
Yeah. And they said, here, you know? And then they gave us pizza. But that's
pizza.
a whole nother story.
I had an IED go off right under my vehicle, popped the tires, shattered the windshield, and just shrapnel was everywhere. I have this window where I know something's not right. If I go past that window, I can go just completely off the rails. It's like being an actor in your own life. You're watching yourself do these things that you have no control over. You're watching yourself kind of self-implode almost. My heart was just beating like 1,000 miles an hour. Like, am I gonna die? It's like a darkness. It's hard to escape from. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
For more information, please visit www.guitarsforvets.org. That's guitar with an S, the number 4, vets.org.
We formed a young group. It was called the Supernaturals. A friend of mine said, hey, I know Johnny Nash. Let me introduce the group to Johnny. You know, with Johnny, I met so many people.
Yeah.
He would have, when artists would come to Houston, he would say, okay, you wrote these 6 songs. I've got such and such coming over. I need you to pitch those songs to them.
Okay.
So he called me one day, and Tony, I kid you not, I wasn't the greatest singer. I wasn't the greatest guitar player, but what I realized over my life is that you don't have to be the best at anything. Really don't. All you have to do is have favor, right? When somebody likes you, when somebody wants to help you and see you win, right? That's worth more than money.
Well, that's what people don't understand. In this industry, it's sometimes the talent takes a back seat because you got to work and live with these people. Sometimes, I remember one time, I'll tell you this funny story. I was doing a clinic one time when I worked for Washburn years ago. And I'm in this music store doing this guitar clinic. And this kid comes up to me, he goes, how'd you get this job? You're not that great. You know, I could play better than you. And I'm like, yeah, probably.
Probably.
But guess what? I go, the thing is, you may be a better guitar player, but I'm the nicest guy you'll ever meet. You know, because that's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
You have to get along with people. You got to know, you know, how the business works. People only work with people they like.
Period.
Especially in the music industry. We're very cliquish.
And they'll cut you quick.
Oh, yeah. And that's why you see a lot of bands with the same people a lot of times. Because, you know, you get comfortable, you know?
That's a good word. That's a good word. You do.
But when you know somebody and you know you can hang with them, because the performance in the lifespan of, let's say 24 hours when you're on the road, you're only on stage an hour and a half.
Absolutely.
maybe 2 hours.
Sometimes 30 minutes.
Rest of the time, you're living with these stinky folks.
That's right.
Right? Some of them. And if you don't like their other habits, I'm telling you, I got to sit in with P-Funk at one time.
Ooh.
You know? Right.
Ooh.
On stage was magic.
Yeah.
Backstage?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, good thing you can't smell stuff on TV.
Hey.
I'm telling you, that, wow. There were smells I can't forget.
Yeah, or artists that you admire on stage,
Yeah.
but when you meet them, you know, what they did up there doesn't translate.
No.
You know.
And not anything bad against those people. I
Yeah.
mean, George was amazing. The whole crew were amazing. Right. You know, but there's no way I'm going to go on the road with these people and live with these people every day.
And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, right? I'm just saying,
none of us are.
Right? But there are situations.
I'll tell you a story off camera. I don't know if I should even tell this story on camera. I won't name any names, but I know for a fact there was a drummer that got kicked out of a band because the band told him specifically, please do not number 2 in the toilet on the bus.
That's real. That's real.
That's
real life because that happens, right?
Please don't. We'll stop. We'll do other this or that. You know, in the middle of the night, you know, we're all sleeping because you know the bunks are right by
the restroom.
Right by the restroom. This guy didn't care. And I'm telling you, honestly, he lost his gig.
Because he couldn't.
Middle of the night dropping a deuce in the middle of the night, you know? I mean.
That's a real story.
But that's how the industry really works. Right. They couldn't take it anymore. Right. They asked the guy, they pleaded with him. And a bowel movement lost him his gig.
I like that story, though.
I hate to say it, but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You know?
I was holding it.
I mean, it's a real story. I'm sorry.
The bowel movement was.
It's going to be on flex.
But am I wrong?
It happens.
In this case, it happened.
It happens.
You know? And I said drummer, so it's not a guitar player. It wasn't me. It was a drummer. These drummers sometimes, you know. But no, it can come down to that where if you can't live with somebody on a daily basis, then all of a sudden their talent, no matter how talented, all of a sudden they're not as talented. Right. You know. But what frustrates me about the industry, there seems to be a separation almost. You have the business side, the people that work on that side of the music industry, and then the musicians. It's the categories they keep placing us in or restricting us to. Some of my favorite artists growing up, they didn't fit into a category.
Ray Charles, I mean,
yes.
He would just bounce. I want to do country. I want to do jazz. I want to do,
you know his people are going, Ray, what are you doing? But he didn't care.
He didn't care.
Because they let him get out of those boundaries, made him who he is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And I see it, you do that a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bluegrass.
You're not held down.
But that was intentional for me.
But it's still you.
Right. It's intentional for me because, again, back to your point about categories, you know, as a Black country artist, and with Ray Charles, the intent was if he can do any kind of music he wanted, then I can, especially if I have my own funding, if I have my own investors, and that's where it gets tough because people who are spending their money, they want to spend it on what they want to spend it on. Right. I get it. That's what I got sober about real quick going to Nashville. Because when I first started going to Nashville, I went with my hands out saying, oh, would you invest in Carl Ray? I need $50,000, whatever, right? Yeah. So, you know, everybody's, hands, you know. But then I changed my strategy. I said, okay, I have a great job with the Coca-Cola company. I have an awesome job. I make a lot of money, right? So I started investing in my own self. And I started going to Nashville, hiring the same people that a Garth Brooks would have. I became a revenue stream. They would start calling me, hey, Carl, we got this going on. Why don't you come over and do this? Why don't you come over and do that? And so now—
you ran it like a business.
You run it like a business.
You were your own label.
Right? Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So,
that's great.
And I try to tell these young artists, you got to think strategically. You can't think tactically and go and beg for money. There are a lot of good people in Nashville. They'll blow you away. Dime a dozen. Yeah. You know them, right?
Oh, man.
But you got to have a strategy.
They don't got two nickels to rub together.
Right.
Yeah, and so you turned that.
Right.
You saw that.
I saw that. And I became real sober about it. And I don't know if I have time for my Garth Brooks story, but at some point I'll tell it to you, you know, but it was something that he said to me that really just kind of level set me.
What did Garth Brooks say to you?
So I just come back from Nashville after shopping songs with all these publishers. And they'd say, play me your best song, and I play it. And they'd say, not good enough, right? And it was very sobering, you know, because I was just learning how to write country songs. It's a difference in writing a good country song. And so 3 chords and the truth, right? And getting to that truth is sometimes very hard to do, you know, especially as a young writer. So I came back, I was in Oklahoma, I drove back, and it was Christmas Eve. I was gonna sit here, I'm gonna soak waddle in my own pity, you know, and I was saying, I'm never playing another country song. Forget those people in Nashville, they don't know nothing. I was just, you know, I was
defeated.
done.
Yeah, you
right?
felt defeated.
I was done, yeah. And I was sitting on the floor and the phone rings. So a friend of mine had a Dodge dealership around the corner. And he said, hey, Carl, I'm gonna bring somebody by your house. I think you should meet. And so I said, okay. So 30 minutes, nobody shows up. So I called back. I said, hey man, what's up? Y'all coming or what? He said, man, we can't get out of the front area. So I'm gonna let him talk to you. He's in my office right now. I said, okay. So the guy gets on the phone. He said, hey, Carl Ray. I said, hey. He said, hey, this is Garth Brooks. I said, who? He said, no, this is Garth Brooks. I said, listen, man, if you don't stop playing with me.
Yeah, I've had a hard day. Come on, stop it.
I'm gonna come down there and I'm gonna whoop you and John's butt. I didn't say butt, but I was, you know, and he was laughing, right? No, man, this is Garth. I'm serious, this is Garth. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, I was buying a Durango truck, and he had to fill the paperwork out in John's office because it had gotten so hectic. And John had a cassette of mine long ago, and he was playing it when he got in his office. And so Garth said, well, who's that playing? And John said, oh, that's my friend Carl Ray, and he's a black country singer. And Garth said, really? He said, well, I feel like I'm supposed to call him. Can I call him? So he just said to me, he said, look, man, I like what you're doing. Don't be discouraged. That's what he said. Don't be discouraged.
Wow.
I still choke up every time I hear that. I tell this story. He said, don't get discouraged. He said, Nashville is tough. He said, people are going to reject you. I've been rejected. He said, just remember that. But most of all, remember the one who gave you the gift. At that point, I felt like God was saying to me, Tony, Carl, you don't have to pay your way. You don't have to compromise yourself. You don't have to sleep around with this person or whatever, or do those things that you feel like you need to do to make it. That he was saying to me personally that he has the ability to bring the best of anything to my doorstep. That experience taught me how to be content.
Yeah.
You know, so when I go into situations now, I don't have the same mindset anymore.
Right.
You know, because I know that the person who loves me, who created me, has my best interest at heart.
He has Garth Brooks' phone number, and he sent you Garth Brooks.
And if he wants me to have something, you know, he'll give it to me. And I have to be the best me that I can be and walk through the doors that he gives me. And with that, I'm grateful. And I hope that lives will be changed and they will be inspired. More than anything, they'll have hope and they'll be inspired.
Did I tell you about this guy? I appreciate it. Thank
My
you
pleasure.
so much, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
But, are you going to do that song? You want me to talk about it? Beth had our son, we were both 17. He let it all hang out. There's nothing left. The silver in your head.
Want more Backstage stories? Become a member of our Patreon page. You'll get access to bonus footage, full performances, swag, and special live events where you can interact with guests. This is your Backstage Pass.
As it gets closer to showtime, you can feel the energy in the air. There's nothing like being backstage watching all the musicians warm up and go over last-minute details.
Then Bill Pippin, give Bill a big hand right there. Bill will be playing the piano on the break. We'll come back with you.
I imagine it's like a college football team in the locker room getting ready for that big game. The headliners are the first stringers, and Jacky Jack White is the
We're gonna keep it
coach.
simple. We're not going to try to trick it up too much. All right? Let's have a prayer together. Dear God in heaven, thank you for this day. May the bless you this day. We're so thankful for everyone.
But if you're a second stringer like me, sometimes you get asked to help out in other areas.
We're at the Sucarnochee here. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Roger said that I'm terrible on stage, and he sent me back to work concession. He said, this is the only job you're qualified for.
Wow.
He's like,
I told him don't pay for $3 an hour. That's it.
but that's $3 more than Jacky Jack paid me.
$6.
So that's good work. I'll take it. What do you want me to do? Large popcorn, I can do that. I gotta earn my keep here. I think today's gonna be my first and last day. Here you go, sir. Thank you so much.
I'm rolling.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. This wouldn't be the Backstage Pass if I didn't only show you what happens backstage, but the musicians and the performers, what it's like to walk out on stage. Follow me. Here we go. Look at this. Meridian, Mississippi. Come on. Here we are, Sucarnochee, Meridian, Mississippi, the Temple Theater. This is Tony's Backstage Pass.
Tremendous being here tonight, the Queen City. This next fella who's coming on out here, this tall drink of water, there he is. Give him a good hand. I mean, just try to encourage him. Would you give a great big round of applause for Berritt Haynes?
How's everyone doing tonight?
There's a song that I wrote a long time ago that's got about 127 million views on it. It's called Exchange of Hearts.
One-sided love broke the seesaw down, and I took it rough when I hit the ground. You went your way, and I went mine. And girl, you'd understand if your heart was mine. If we had an exchange. Soon I'll be able to find a new romance, and then you'll remember my love warm and tender, too late for a second chance. If we had an exchange of hearts, then you know I fell apart, and you feel the pain when the memory start. If we had an exchange of hearts. If we had an exchange of hearts. Thank you so much.
People get ready, there's a train coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board.
I just got this yesterday, and you don't know anything about this. This is just like, this is your life. This says, #1 cash box Christian country, I stand with this country, Carl Ray. Writers Carl Ray Williams, whoever that is. Jacky Jack White, whoever that is. First ballot Dove Awards. There it is for Mr. Carl Ray. Give him a big hand. Oh! What about that? What about that? All right. Moving on. Get out of here. Moving on.
So this song is a song that I wrote, and I wrote it by myself, but I heard this girl using pickup lines. You know, you often hear guys use pickup lines. Hey, darling, don't I know you from someplace? Hey, yeah, you going my way? All those crazy things. But this was one that the girl used. And it's self-explanatory. I'll play it for you. I was kind of getting used to being free, so I was so surprised at what she said to me. She said, I know that this is wrong, but the feeling's so strong, and tonight I don't want to be alone. I want you to love me like you just got out of jail, like I'm the one you call when it's time to make a bail. She said, I'll even be your alibi, or if the cops are on your tail, I want you to love me like you just got out of jail. Now that was 20 years ago. Now we got 3 kids. We often reminisce of how it all began, and then we play our favorite song, and before the night is gone, she says those words that still turn me on. I want you to love me like you just got out of jail, like I'm the one you call when it's time to make a bail. She said, I'll even be your alibi, or if the cops are on your tail, I want you to love me like you just got out of jail. Whoa. We're older now and they ask us how we made it. Well, I look into your eyes and smile when I hear you say it. That's a great line. I want you to love me like, you can sing if you want to, you just got out of jail,
like I'm the one you call when it's time to make a bed. She said, I'll even be your alibi, or if the cops are on your tail, I want you to love me like you just got out of jail. Oh, I want you to love me like you just got out of jail. I gotta go. The popo's coming.
All right.
We got a winner in the hair contest, right?
Yeah. Best hair in the business, man.
No, this is the long, short version of it right here, see?
That's what mine's gonna look like someday.
Oh, no, that is
Miss Marlin brought a crowd with her about rock and roll music. He is an intense fellow.
Best that you can do. Say a prayer for me, brother. I'll say one for you. Said every saint's got a past, every sinner's got a future. The
Lord, please allow me.
I'm leaving this town. I'm packing up my clothes, leaving this town before it takes.
Don't look away, I just can't look away. I don't fall in love every day. You know, I'm getting married again, you know that? I don't know who. In this cafe. All righty. Did you like the Sucarnochee Revue? We're going to end up with a song that y'all know very well. If y'all want to stand, you can sing with us. I'll fly away. Yeah. Sucarnochee, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it so much.
Sucarnochee.
Want more Backstage stories? Become a member of our Patreon page. You'll get access to bonus footage, full performances, swag, and special live events where you can interact with guests. This is your Backstage Pass.